live.
Ok, estamos en vivo.
Thank you for joining us this evening to really look deeply at guidance.
Muchas gracias por unirse esta tarde o esta noche para mirar profundamente y seguir la guía.
All of this depends on our complete willingness to be honest about hearing the voice for God.
Todo esto depende de estar completamente dispuestos a escuchar la voz que habla por Dios.
Because the ego is dishonesty.
Porque el ego es deshonesto.
And we have to be very careful and very aware that the ego is going to parrot Jesus.
Porque él va a tratar de confundirnos y de que no sigamos a Jesús.
Okay, that's its job. The job,
Ese es su trabajo.
The job of the ego is to pretend like it's Jesus speaking.
Okay. El trabajo del ego es pretender que es Jesús el que está hablando.
So correctly hearing Jesus takes a lot of attentiveness.
Escuchar correctamente la voz de Jesús requiere de nosotros estar atentos.
Like the lesson, I am determined to see, you got to ramp that up as high as you can, ratchet it up as high as you can go. I am determined to see.
Estoy determinado a ver, tal como la lección dice, estoy determinado a ver.
I am determined to hear.
Estoy determinado a escuchar.
Because its game is deception. Our game is to deceive ourselves.
El juego es la decepción. El juego es malicioso, malvado.
And so I call it ego extras on guidance, ego extras.
Él ya lo llama el extra del juego, el de seguir la guía del ego.
Jesus gives an assignment and the ego adds a little extra or does a little change to it.
Ajá, Jesús da una asignación y el ego trata de dar algo extra o trata de cambiar lo que se ha asignado.
It pushes the time. Its function is to delay in time these assignments.
La función del ego es demorarnos en el tiempo en nuestras asignaciones.
And to come up with exceptions. Here's, it's okay, not a problem. I can go and do whatever he tells me in 6 weeks.
Okay, trata de demorar, decía, no hay problema, puedes dejarlo para después y puedes hacer eso en 6 semanas.
And so you do not underestimate how much clearing of your mind it actually requires to be clear on what he's telling you.
No podemos desestimar cuán importante es estar en nuestra mente claros acerca de lo que tenemos que hacer.
You will hear it. You can even write down what he says and it will sound really beautiful. It can be very on point, but you will not be 100% in the guidance lane.
Ok, podemos escuchar y podemos escribir lo que estamos escuchando y para poder estar 100% en la guía, bajo la guía.
So it takes this dedication that many of you are in right now to consistently, it's a consistent clearing and asking him about desires, just consistent, like you said, miracle mindedness.
Es importante que seamos consistentes en las miradas, porque o sea, de ello depende el milagro.
To have the highest standard for yourself in terms of no matter what it takes, that you're dedicated to follow what he's asking you to do.
El estándar, pues, o sea, el estar dispuesto a tener un estándar alto, que no importa lo que pase, estamos dedicados y dispuestos a hacerlo.
And so he's been giving us the practice of looking very specifically at what's on our list.
Y tenemos que hacer la práctica y ser específicos cuando estamos haciendo la lista.
And to see how many times with him you've already made a decision in your mind about what you're going to do, and then you're trying to overlay guidance on top of that.
I'm so sorry, Kai, can you repeat it?
That you have already made a decision in your mind about what you want to do, and you're just impervious to really hearing what Jesus is telling you to do.
Ok, es una decisión que ya has tomado en tu mente de hacer con Jesús lo que tienes que hacer.
And so I'm going to tell this story because it's such a beautiful one, because it's not, there's no, we just want to get clear on what guidance is, and to see it takes a lot of vigilance in the mind.
Ok, tenemos que estar claros en la guía. Wait a minute, Kai. Wait a minute, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can you repeat again? I'm so sorry, Kai.
That it takes a tremendous amount of diligence in your to follow him and hear him.
Que requiere de nosotros que estemos, que seamos diligentes en seguirlo.
Because the ego's whole function is to interfere with it.
La función del ego es de que nosotros tengamos miedo de eso y no lo hagamos.
And to really get so self-honest, so much honesty to see where you have chosen something and then it completely blocks what he's asking you to do.
Ok, tenemos que estar claros y ser completamente honestos en cada uno de los bloqueos y lo que tenemos que hacer en esos momentos.
6 or 8 months ago, the ego's just, this is what it does. It's going to plan a trip for something. It's going to plan a trip that's out of guidance.
El ego eso hizo unas semanas atrás. Exacto, planeando un viaje fuera de la guía.
And then it's going to go, well, I have to go that. I bought the ticket. I see, it's protecting to be out of guidance. It's like, I already did this, I already planned it.
Ok, hizo toda la planificación, compró los tickets, hizo todo lo que tenía que hacer, pero todo lo estaba haciendo fuera de la guía, sin pedir la guía.
It's famous. That's just what it does. It's right when you're starting to go deep in the mind, it's going to come up with some kind of distraction or something, and it's going to sound like the best thing to do.
Sí, claro. Eso cuando estás yendo profundo a la mente siempre surge alguna distracción, algo más que hacer para distraerte.
So him giving this so specific way of looking so we cannot delude ourselves.
Ok, tenemos que ser muy cuidadosos a la hora de mirar y de comprometernos, de hacer lo que tenemos que hacer.
Because I'm asking him, if there's another way out of the dream, I'd say jump that ride, go ahead and try and ride it.
Ok, esa es otra manera del sueño, o sea, el tratar de no hacer lo que tenemos que hacer y el de obviarlo.
But what he says to me, there is not a way to fully leave the dream without that 100% guiding.
Ok, cuando él me dice que no a cualquier cosa dentro del sueño, debo estar dispuesto a seguir y a hacerlo bajo la guía.
Okay, without that, because anything out of guidance is investing in the bank of the ego.
Porque cualquier cosa que hagamos fuera de la guía es invertir en el ego.
And it's so important to be coached by him where there are the exceptions in the mind to following him.
Y tenemos que dejarnos guiar, dejarnos entrenar para que nuestra mente pueda ser guiada.
Because if we when once you see what you're saying yes to in terms of guidance, you will not make that mistake again. But if you haven't let yourself see it, it's a long-term play of just playing around in delay.
Ok, la importancia de seguir la guía y de entrenarnos en eso sencillamente va a evitar demoras.
It's kind of like a but Jesus, I've got this, but I've got that, but I need this in my life, but.
Ok, son siempre pretextos que le estamos poniendo a Jesús, pero esto, pero lo otro, siempre son pretextos para escucharle y seguir la guía.
So this is the most important thing about what I'm going to tell you is the willingness to turn and look, okay? Because at the time you may not see it, but you got to turn and really look at it.
Ok, estoy diciendo que lo más importante es la determinación y la voluntad de verlo. Ok, eso es lo más importante, la voluntad de ir y mirar.
So we were given an assignment to go at this center to go out to a really nice French restaurant for Christmas Day.
Ok, tenemos esta actividad y esta asignación como en el día de Navidad.
So we all go, and then at the end of the meal, I had to leave early. Two of us had to leave early.
Ok, si lo hacemos temprano, podremos entonces terminar temprano.
And then I heard from Jesus that the assignment to come home was to catch the bus.
Y escuché de Jesús que al hacerlo podría regresar a casa en autobús.
And this is a great story for seeing how valuable your brother is, really.
Eso es una historia, gran historia para escuchar acerca de nuestro hermano, realmente.
Because what happened was the group was together, and then they all kind of came together, and Mary can give you the details, but they ended up taking a cab back to the center. Mary's laughing.
Mari tiene la experiencia de eso y o sea, el poder compartir todos juntos allí en el centro.
So Maria was there too.
María también estaba.
Now, what's cool about this, I mean, Mary saw, because I heard it from Jesus, that the decision was already made to bless Mary for this story, okay? Because this is a gift.
Ok, Mary escuchó que sí y fue una gran historia.
But she saw it later that the choice had already been in her mind not to take that bus.
Pero ella escuchó en su mente que no se debía tomar ese autobús.
So they were all kind of wandering around out of guidance, but then they caught the cab and came back. We lost our translator. Okay, Maria, you might, yeah, here she comes, maybe. Maybe Maria will jump on board. Let's see. We lost her. Maria, would you jump on? This is a good one too for you to translate because you were there. She's never going to talk to me after Sharon. No. Mary, can you go get my phone? She can't unmute. She might not have a good mic.
Hi, Kay.
Hey.
Yes, I was trying to find my earphones.
Oh, her headset.
Here I am.
Awesome. She's jumping in for Jesus.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I will speak about the story and just
okay. Well, if you can translate for now, and then the end, we might have you and Mary comment because you were in it. And
okay, sure.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what was, I mean, my heart is so touched even thinking about it, because they all came back and they knew that they were in guilt for not following, right?
Y entonces todos ellos regresaron al centro y todos se sentían culpables porque no habían seguido la guía.
See, and then they could all look together and they all agreed that they were all out of guidance.
Y luego miraron juntos y se dieron cuenta que que habían estado fuera de guía.
Okay, but you want to see this. You want to see together where you're not in guidance so he can correct you.
Y es útil ver que donde no estamos en guía para que él nos pueda corregir.
And to see where you're making up in your mind that you already made a decision about something and then you're justifying that Jesus told you to do it.
Y darse cuenta que ya hemos tomado una decisión en la mente y luego lo hacemos y luego después le decimos a Jesús por qué lo hicimos, algo así.
This is the really tricky part of every one of our guidance session, is how the decision's already been made to do something and it's protected from him.
Y lo que hacemos en estos círculos es que miramos cómo ya hemos tomado las decisiones y luego tratamos de protegerlas de Jesús.
So for these guidance sessions, you really, really need to go totally, if your goal is God and his kingdom, okay? But why would we be here if it wasn't? But anyway.
Si quieres ir en la guía completamente, tienes que ir totalmente desnudo sin ninguna decisión previa antes tomada.
You have to say no to the ego. No, you have to say no to the ego.
Tú tienes que decirle no al ego.
Okay, because there's so many delusions and so many tricks.
Porque hay muchos trucos y hay mucho engaño.
Like Kirsten Buxton said, do you have any idea how many times I've had to say no to the ego?
Como Christine lo dice, ¿cuántas veces tenemos que decirle no al ego?
I didn't the first time I hear her say it, but now I know.
Y ahora yo también lo sé.
A lot.
Muchísimas veces.
A lot.
Muchas.
Because of that relishing of an experience of hell, and we're in the addiction to hell.
Y porque es la adicción y el gusto y el placer por el infierno.
And pretending like hell is heaven and just going, this trick that we play on ourselves.
Y pretender que el cielo es el infierno y este truco que nos gusta tanto.
So really the way through these guidance sessions is putting every single thing on the table, everything. This is deep.
Y esto es profundo porque en estas sesiones lo que tenemos que hacer es poner todo sobre la mesa.
Because if we don't, then we're protecting parts of our mind from him to help us heal.
Porque si no es que querer tratar de proteger una parte de la mente para que no sea sanada.
Because the way he undoes the idea of a separate person, a doer.
Porque con la idea de un hacedor, de una mente separada que es una hacedora,
is taking the idea of doing out of our hands and giving it to him.
Es quitarnos eso del hacer de nuestras manos y entregárselas a él.
It's so brilliant, so that the body is then used to serve the spirit.
Porque así el cuerpo es usado en servicio del espíritu.
And this is the transcendence of doing to being.
Y esta es la forma de trascender el hacer por el ser.
So the first thing is to talk to him about the slightest idea lurking in the subconscious mind that it is in any way okay not to follow guidance.
Por eso es que tenemos que mirar profundamente la mente y mirar la más pequeña idea donde dice que no es útil seguir su guía.
To be completely unwilling to do anything other than guidance is essential for the atonement.
Y darnos cuenta que tenemos que tener la voluntad de seguir porque es esencial para la expiación.
And to be so open to let him show you every single place where you're saying no to guidance.
Y mirar con él que te muestre exactamente dónde le estás diciendo no a la guía.
It's the only way.
Es la única forma.
Because everything that's not guidance is an investment in the bank of death.
Porque cualquier cosa que no sea la guía es una inversión en el banco de la muerte.
And to really see all those little things that we want to do that are really the way we hold on to saying no to God.
Y mirar todo donde le estamos diciendo no a Dios.
And to be uncompromising in following.
Y ser y no transigir en seguir su guía.
So he has brought us together in this spectacular forum of looking so unsparingly at this.
Esto es muy inspirador porque él nos trae en esta profundidad del mirar.
Through joining to go into the deep honesty in where you will start to catch these plays in your mind.
Y traernos juntos para que miremos dónde están esos lugares en nuestra mente.
But this is where the rubber hits the road in terms of real A Course in Miracles.
Can you say again, Kay?
This is the fundamental to the direct experience that A Course in Miracles is true.
Y esto es la parte fundamental donde nos muestra que las enseñanzas del curso son verdad.
Is to develop crystal clarity on your mind on when is Jesus going like this, when is he going like this.
Y para aprender dónde Jesús nos indica que sí y dónde nos indica que no.
So then our heads can move together.
Y entonces así nuestras cabezas se van a mover juntas.
Okay, so and it's only through this practicing in totally the purification of your mind, because when your mind's purified, you only can do this.
Y esta es la purificación de la mente, porque cuando ya purificas tu mente, lo único que vas a hacer es moverla hacia abajo o hacia los lados.
Okay, because you'll see when he's going like this, and you're doing like this, you're sending yourself directly to hell. Do not pass go.
Porque cuando tú estás moviendo la cabeza para un lado y Jesús para el otro, simplemente estás yendo directo al infierno.
You know, you look deeply with your brother at any idea that you think Jesus is going to make you do something you do not want to do.
Y mirar profundamente por la creencia de que Jesús me va a hacer algo que yo no quiero hacer.
The ego loves to say that because it doesn't want to see what Jesus is trying to show it.
Y el ego ama eso porque no quiere que nosotros veamos lo que Jesús nos está queriendo tratar de mostrar.
Okay. So remember, whenever he's telling you something that he's asking you to do because you're a divine infinite being.
Y entonces cuando él te diga que hay que hacer algo porque tú eres un ser infinito y divino,
it is the way he's going to show you something in your mind that you're hanging on to that's creating hell for you.
Lo que él quiere es mostrarte algo donde en tu mente estás creando infierno para ti mismo.
You know, and meanwhile, the ego goes, it's going to be terrible. I'm going straight to hell. You know,
Y
you're
el
going to
ego te va a decir
die.
que esto es terrible, que esto es el infierno, que vas a morir.
You know, I was sure quite a number of times I was going to die.
Y estoy segura que muchas veces creí que iba a morir.
Which is to hide the fact that you're already dead as long as you're dreaming.
Y realmente es darte cuenta que estás muerto porque estás soñando.
If Jesus is going like this and you're going like this, you're killing yourself.
Porque cuando Jesús está moviendo la cabeza para un lado y tú para el otro, es realmente que te estás matando, te estás asesinando a ti mismo.
You know, but with the other thing, it has to be cleared from the mind is relishing the desire to duke it out with Jesus, to see how much that play is loved.
Y ver cómo nos encanta como ir en contra de Jesús.
How much you enjoy when he goes like this, going like that. No.
Y cómo disfrutas cuando Jesús te dice que sí, tú que no, o al contrario.
Like so many beings have come on and say when they're looking at that relishing, I can see that child, a little child on the floor, you know, go.
Y cuando estamos viendo estos deseos y hay la parte donde está este niño que está haciendo la pataleta y diciendo no.
If he's
En el-
going like, no, don't do that, and you're going like this, that's wanting to be autonomous from source.
Y cuando tú dices, Jesús dice no y tú dices sí, eso es querer interferir en la expiación.
Oh my gosh. We don't see it's we deceived ourselves so well not to see when we say no, when he's saying yes. It's we just bought the ticket to kill ourselves, to kill love out of
Porque
awareness.
cuando Él nos dice que sí, nosotros que no, ese es el tiquete de ir al infierno y de asesinarnos a nosotros mismos.
Okay. So and the ego goes like this. It goes, I'm in a sacrifice. See, if Jesus goes like this and my head matches his, I'm going to get sacrifice.
Y cuando la cabeza de Jesús y la nuestra no coinciden, sentimos que esto va a ser un sacrificio.
Okay. You have to see the trick. Okay. We have to see the trick of this.
Por eso tenemos que ver el truco en esto.
The ego says, remember, the ego's going, it's going to be horrible. I'm going to sacrifice. It's going to be bad.
Entonces el ego dice, esto va a ser terrible, esto va a ser un sacrificio, esto va a ser muy malo.
Okay. And just remember that voice down there in your subconscious mind is going, oh my God, I love to experience the sacrifice.
Y entonces la voz en tu mente subconsciente dice, uy, me encanta el sacrificio.
So a lot of times with this thing, when you hear the ego, when you hear the words, I don't want to sacrifice. See, if I do what he says, I'm going to sacrifice.
Cuando vemos la palabra no quiero sacrificio, realmente lo que dice es quiero sacrificio, me gusta.
So just write that down on a piece of paper. I don't want sacrifice.
Entonces escriban en un papel, no, yo no quiero sacrificio.
And then take a big red pen and put an X through don't.
Y entonces luego coge un color rojo y tacha la palabra no.
And then read the sentence and you'll read, I want sacrifice. And then you know what's really going on.
Y luego vas a leer, yo quiero el sacrificio. Y te vas a dar cuenta que es así.
But you can spend time on just relishing the desire for the experience of sacrifice.
Y entonces simplemente disfrutamos el deseo del sacrificio.
So if guidance comes up and you feel a twitch, you know what to do. Join with a partner. I'm going to look at all the ways I want to go sideways on this.
Y entonces si viene la guía y tienes alguna molestia, te unes con un compañero y miras con él todas los lugares donde se quiere como escabullir este deseo.
It's like, Jesus, am I creating? And it creates like little storylines. It loves these little storylines.
Y le encanta crear estas historias, estas líneas de historia en el tiempo.
You know, I got stuff to be doing for a while, but then I'll come back. No, we got to see through all that stuff. No.
Y entonces tenemos que mirar esto de, ay, pero tengo que ir a hacer algunas cosas que son importantes y luego vuelvo.
It's like, Jesus, what would you have me do now for healing my mind? What would you have me see?
Y la pregunta es, ¿qué tengo que ver aquí para la sanación de mi mente?
And that's the mantra.
Y ese es el mantra.
You know, we want to have a mantra, you know, it's helpful. These higher order thoughts that he gives for lessons, they're helpful. They are.
Y estos mantras son útiles algunas veces porque son pensamientos de un nivel más elevado.
You know, it's kind of like the can opener of God to open up our minds.
Es como un abridor hacia Dios.
You know, it's like we slam the lid shut, you know, and he has to slip some things through the crack to get to us.
Sorry, I didn't catch it.
It's like we crawled inside of a freezer and shut the door, you know, and there's just barely a crack that he can get to us through.
Y es como meternos en el refrigerador y dejar solo una puertica, algo así.
And he tries to like slip some of those lessons in there as a possibility. There might be something on the outside of the freezer.
Y como que hay alguna posibilidad fuera del refrigerador.
But as we're seeing with the morning lessons, you're seeing with the morning lessons for those that are joining, you seeing what he's showing, like all the desires not to experience the lesson. It's pretty profound.
Y vemos en las lecciones en las mañanas donde nos unimos a mirar la lección y vemos cómo queremos evadir la lección. Hay partes de la mente donde no quiere aceptarla.
It's totally profound when you see, oh my gosh, I don't want one shred of that lesson.
Y es muy profundo ver cuando decimos, no quiero ni un poquito de esta lección.
But he's given the door. Here's the door. Let me show you where you don't want to be holy.
Y entonces esta es la puerta y es, ven, te muestro dónde tú no quieres ser santo.
So yeah, guidance is not a part-time thing.
Así que la guía no es una cuestión de medio tiempo.
It's just because guidance is the song of creation. When you're following that, you're singing in tune with all that is.
Porque cuando la sigues es como una canción.
And ceasing to deny what you are.
Porque es dejar de negar lo que tú eres.
So like we're going to go through it again today, where you're going to write down, you know, things that happen, no selectivity.
Bueno, entonces vamos a escribir las cosas que hicimos la semana pasada sin ninguna selectividad.
It's so important to see where the ego is going to put a filter on what you'll look at with Jesus, and it's not going to open up totally to look at everything.
Y el ego va a querer que tengas algunas cosas como que no quieres que tú muestres a Jesús.
And it is so instructive. You're going to see it's so great when you get just neutral about it and go, you know, something will come to mind. I think I've said this, like an old relationship or something that happened. I don't spend a lot of time on it, but I ask him, was that in guidance? He tells me yes, no. And then I just laugh.
Entonces, por ejemplo, para mí, yo he preguntado si algunas relaciones de las pasadas estuvieron en guía y me dice que no, aunque no pierdo mucho tiempo en eso, pero le pregunté.
Because you'll see how much you were out of guidance in most of your life. At least I did.
Y al menos es útil ver cuando no estamos en guía.
It's interesting because I'm just talking to him now about when I was stepping out of my comfort zone, I was in guidance.
Y cuando me fui movida de mi zona de confort, sí, yo estaba en guía.
I mean, I can see that now, like a consistent pattern of really stepping out of my comfort zone and how guided that was to do that.
Y puedo ver hoy en día claramente cómo cada paso fue como muy consecuente en el proceso de sacarme de la zona de confort.
So there's a real power in this gift that he's giving us of this direct looking at guidance together.
Porque esto es una bendición, poder ver la luz y la guía juntos.
So, and there's a humility in it if you generally are not clear in your guidance on not your guidance, on the guidance from Jesus.
Y entonces es útil mirar cuando la guía no es clara.
To want to come together and be clear and clear out any of the debris that's blocking you from being really clear on it.
Y la importancia de unirse y mirar para que eso sea claro, transparente, esta guía.
Because you have the tools now with the light circles, you know, to join with brothers and go, okay, I'm going to look at this. I feel uncomfortable about it, but I'm going to look.
Porque ahora tenemos las herramientas, tenemos los círculos de luz y cuando no nos sentimos cómodos con algo, simplemente nos unimos con un hermano.
I can hardly even speak about how precious it was in that session. If you were in that session where Lori was hearing from Jesus.
Porque es muy precioso, por ejemplo, en la sesión donde estábamos escuchando, que Lori estaba escuchando una guía.
Look at her. And her head went down. I mean, oh my God, but she was so willing. Oh my God, I can hardly speak about it. It's so beautiful.
Y fue tan hermoso que casi ni puedo hablar de ello.
But you'll see, and she was willing to hear from Jesus that she was not in alignment with truth within.
Y entonces ella estuvo muy abierta porque a escuchar que no estaba alineado con su ser lo que iba a hacer.
She turned and looked directly. That's what we have to do, is turn directly at everything, and you'll see divine power. You'll see how powerful you are as a being.
Y entonces cuando miras directamente te das cuenta de lo poderoso que eres.
You know, she was not enthusiastic at first about what she was hearing, but she kept looking until she was clear.
Y en un principio ya no estuvo muy entusiasta de la guía que recibió, pero estuvo decidida a seguir mirando.
This is important. We have to thank our brothers for doing these things, for giving
Por
us
eso,
these examples.
Tenemos que agradecer a estos hermanos que nos traen estos ejemplos.
Of Mary and Lori and the beings
Mary,
that are just stepping into it.
O seres que se mantienen en la guía.
They're the examples that you do not blow up if you follow Jesus. You're going to be fine.
Y son ejemplos de que no vamos a explotar si seguimos a Jesús.
Okay, so let's take a look at the list everyone has.
Entonces vamos a mirar la lista de que tiene cada quien.
And just look, we gotta no dancing around no Mexican hat dance where you're dancing around the truth. We're going right in.
No vamos a hacer la danza del sombrero mexicano, sino que vamos, que es la misma danza de bailar alrededor de la verdad, sino que vamos a ir a la verdad.
Look at this team of beings that is here to support you.
Miren aquí este equipo de seres que los van a apoyar.
And he's telling me you are unlimited whether someone speaks English or Spanish too, by the way.
E incluso eres totalmente ilimitado cuando escuchas que alguien habla en inglés o en español.
Because we have Microsoft Translator, and so any two beings can get together and hear Jesus if you're guided.
Y si eres guiado a unirte con un compañero que habla otro idioma, también está en el aparatico que traduce.
Okay, because this is a very committed group of beings that really want the truth.
Porque este es un equipo de seres que estamos comprometidos con la verdad.
Okay. No one's run away yet, so that's good.
Así es que nadie ha salido corriendo por el momento.
Okay. So look down at your list.
Entonces miremos la lista
Okay. And look at your list in the future.
y miren las acciones que tienen para el futuro.
Now ask Jesus, is there anything you're weaseling out on and not open to hearing or ducking or sidewaysing on? That's where the
A
rubber is.
Jesús, estoy en alguna de estas acciones o actividades, estoy tratando de irme por los lados.
Jesus, is there anything I'm trying to sneak out of?
Jesús, estoy tratando de irme por los lados, sí, no sabía.
You know, is there anything I'm treating like a dog going to a vet? You know how the dog backs up or it hides under the couch? Ask for any of that stuff too.
¿Hay alguna de estas actividades donde estoy haciendo lo que hacen los perros cuando los quieren llevar al veterinario, que se meten en el sofá y se esconden?
Anything you're doing to dodge, okay? You want to hear about it.
Cualquier cosa que escuche. Sorry, can you say again?
Anything you're trying, you know, we had this game called dodgeball where they throw the ball when you're a kid and trying to hit you and you try to dodge out of the way.
No sé, aquí es como un ejemplo donde un niño o los niños tratan de lanzar una bola y pegarte, algo así.
So if there's any guidance you're trying to dodge, you want to know about that too, or jump out of the way and miss, you want to hear about that too.
Entonces, ¿hay alguna actividad de estas donde como que quieras evadirte?
Because that's honesty of God in the light of divine being. It's acceptance of divine power to say yes to these things.
Porque esta es la aceptación de nuestra divinidad y aceptar, sí, es la aceptación de esta divinidad.
And then, you know, anything I'm dodging, anything I've not said yes to.
Estoy en alguna de estas acciones dudando o estoy diciendo que no.
See, we want to turn into the happy learner that every time he asks, visitor, every time he asks us for something, we want to jump in there and go, what's he going to show me?
Y cualquier cosa que nos diga vamos a mirar y vamos a revisar con él.
And I can even see that as many times as like I'd follow and something like my jaw would drop with something he would show me.
Y recuerdo que algo que Jesús me estaba mostrando acerca de mi trabajo.
The next minute I would just forget it and say, Jesus, what have you done for me lately?
Luego lo olvidé y ¿por qué no me habías dicho eso antes?
So he knows we need a lot of these, a lot of to hear the stories. He'd have me tell the story over. So he'd be reminding me, you know, I was with you, see?
Y para que, entonces hay una cantidad de historias donde él me tiene que recordar que él estaba ahí conmigo.
Okay, so you look at all the future. Okay, and just spend a couple of moments. Jesus, give me the coaching.
Entonces vamos a invertir unos minutos preguntándole a Jesús, dame la guía, Jesús.
Where was I booting myself out of heaven?
¿Dónde estoy queriendo llevarme a mí mismo al infierno?
By not following.
Y no siguiéndote.
Okay. Where am I saying yes?
¿Dónde estoy diciendo sí?
Total neutrality. See, no judgment either way. Just be determined to learn.
No, digamos, no, simplemente con la disposición de aprender sin tener ninguna inversión en eso.
So no judgment, and then just show me, okay, I'm going to learn.
Sin juicio y bueno, voy a aprender de esto.
And now that you're showing me this, see the way I was playing before, now you can show me my idea of a future where I'm selective.
Y entonces muéstrame en mis ideas de futuro dónde quiero ser selectivo.
And then if anyone wants to share, they can share. And then we're going to hear from Maria and Mary on their experiences, what they learned.
Entonces vamos a, los que quiera compartir, por favor lo puede hacer. Y luego vamos a aprender de la experiencia de María y de Mary que nos tienen que mostrar.
Yes, I'll share something.
Okay.
¿Quiero compartir algo?
This just happened. It was yesterday and today.
Eso pasó ayer y... sí, Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy.
I was assigned to facilitate this morning.
Fui asignada para que facilitara esta mañana.
And then something came up yesterday. The manager of my apartment building said that the apartments would all be inspected today. And she apologized for the short notice.
Y entonces el administrador del edificio dejó algo que tenemos que hacer en la mañana.
And so I asked for guidance on it. I was going to do something else, and then I said, I'll ask for guidance.
Y entonces pregunté por guía.
And I said, should I just go through with the original plan to facilitate Thursday morning?
Y entonces pregunté si estaba correcto simplemente seguir la guía que era ser el facilitador en la mañana.
Or should I tell Mary that I can no longer do that?
O decirle a Mary que definitivamente no podía hacerlo más.
And what I heard was you should go through with the original plan and it'll be okay.
Y lo que escuché fue que debía seguir mi primer plan inicial.
And I heard that twice.
Y
It
lo
was
escuché
kind of
dos
faint.
veces.
Yep.
Y lo escuché dos veces.
And then I got to thinking, and that was the, you know, how ego likes to think.
Y luego me di cuenta como al ego le gusta hacer estas cosas.
And the thoughts were, well, I might get interrupted, and then what would I do? You know, if the inspectors knocked on the door and I had to jump right up. And I said, maybe I should cancel anyway.
Y entonces dije, bueno, quizá deba cancelar porque pronto van a llegar los inspectores y van a interrumpir la sesión.
And so I asked about that again, and there was a faint yes, go ahead and cancel. And I heard that twice, and I was totally confused.
Y entonces luego, escuché dos veces nuevamente que decía que cancelara la reunión.
And so I talked to Mary about it.
Y yo hablé con Mary porque escuché dos veces y eso me generó confusión.
And I told her I probably need to cancel out. And Mary said, how about this? How about we go through with it as planned, and you can just tell me to take over if we get interrupted.
Y lo que escuché de Mary era que por qué no simplemente hacíamos la reunión como teníamos planeado, y si llegaba el inspector simplemente podíamos interrumpir.
I said, oh, that's a great idea. I think I'll do that. And,
Y
and,
entonces dije, eso me parece una excelente idea, así creo que lo vamos a hacer.
and she suggested that I tell this one tonight.
Yes.
Y ella me sugirió que hablara de eso esta noche.
So that's what we did. We went through, and she heard that there would be no interruption. And
Y ella escuchó que no íbamos a tener ninguna interrupción.
and she was right.
Y ella estuvo en lo correcto.
Mighty companions.
Oh, yes.
Y
Oh,
compañero poderoso.
Oh, yes.
So this is a good one
Este es uno muy bueno.
for all of us to lay aside all our ideas, whether it's good that she's on the light circle or not, to really hear him on this. Was it guidance for her to do this? What do we hear? Yes or no?
Y
You want to
entonces
be that clear.
tenemos que podemos preguntar todos si estuvo en guía que ella hiciera lo que hizo, porque esto es para todos.
Yes, see. We have to be that clear. And so she joined. She could have just made her decision and kind of, but it's the power of joining.
Yes.
Y entonces ella pudo preguntar primero y sin embargo se unió con alguien más y ese es el poder de las uniones.
Because she's giving a perfect example. It's a perfect example for all of us of how you're going to hear little conflicting things. And then the play of the ego is to choose the one it likes best.
Y entonces cuando hay cierta confusión, el ego va a querer que tú escojas la que es mejor para el ego.
But she wasn't willing to settle.
Pero ella no estuvo en disposición de dejarse tentar.
And I heard that session was really profoundly deep this morning.
Y escucho que
was.
esta sesión de esta mañana fue totalmente profunda y Nancy dice que así lo fue.
So let's ask Jesus if consciousness has the power to generate some building inspectors so we don't follow.
Oh, yes.
Y vamos a preguntarle a Jesús si algunas veces el ego genera estos inspectores de edificio que van a llegar a interrumpir.
Nancy, I love you.
Y escucha que Nancy dice que sí.
What a great story. Okay.
Y qué buena
Awesome.
historia.
Okay, and you can share your story with where you're out of guidance too. That's good. Whatever you're sharing, if you're listening to Jesus and he tells you to share, what we're doing is learning from him.
Sí, y como estamos aprendiendo de Jesús, si Jesús te dice que compartas una historia de estas que de sanación, la idea es que la compartas.
How addicted we are to giving ourselves hell.
¿Cómo somos adictos a darnos a nosotros mismos el infierno?
Okay. Okay, Lori.
Okay, Lori.
That was beautiful. Thank you for that.
Eso fue muy hermoso. Gracias por eso.
Well, I'm hoping we can celebrate when we have followed guidance with this share.
Ojalá podamos celebrar cuando seguimos la guía y compartimos.
That's okay? ¿Es bien?
Eso es bueno.
Just say whatever Jesus says. That's the perfect celebration. Whatever he tells you, Lori, and you hear him well.
Y tú lo escuchas muy bien, Lori. Entonces la celebración es cuando realmente lo escuchamos.
Well, I've been seeing the witnesses all day.
Hoy he visto todos los testigos
of the love
del amor.
And the story that Nancy shared.
Y la historia que Nancy compartió.
And how she joined.
Y cómo ella se unió.
and I saw the love that she's like, there was so much love, like in that joining. They were like, I felt like they were surrounded by like love. And
Y entonces eso es como sentirse rodeado del amor.
And I see that. I'm just so grateful because 1 week from tonight, I'm going to be sitting on the other side of this camera on the guidance night.
Y porque yo quería estarme al otro lado de la cámara como fuera de la guía.
And I just see that, I mean, because I asked, well, I mean, I don't want to go on too long. Maybe I do want to go on too long, but Jesus, do I want to go on too long?
Jesús, quiero ir más lejos con esto, Jesús.
I dreamed of coming back to, I dreamed of this center like 3 times.
Sorry, ¿I what?
I had 3 dreams
Okay, tengo 3 sueños.
of me being close to the Joining in Light Devotional Center.
Los 3 acerca de estar cerca del centro devocional.
And I'm so grateful that I had help to, I don't even know how we got back in touch, but hi, we're here. Go ahead.
Y entonces, pero bueno, aquí estoy y go ahead.
And just thank you for the help to see that I was so like miserabling myself. I mean, to be that close, I was going to come and be 30 minutes from the center.
Y bueno, gracias por mostrarme esto porque me sentía muy miserable y era ir como a 30 minutos del centro, iba a ir, algo así.
And I'm so grateful that for the willingness and the love to look at how absolutely, go ahead.
Y entonces, con la voluntad de ver, con la absoluta voluntad de ver.
This was a side winding.
Y era como una forma de evadir.
Creation. And I see that Jesus showed me what I really want.
Y entonces así Jesús realmente me pudo mostrar lo que de verdad quería.
And in the thought for the road is, I am so grateful to be in this mix of looking.
Y entonces estoy muy agradecida de este mix que va a ser de este mix y de mirar.
And I'm afraid somehow it's like not gonna happen. So anyway.
Y estoy un poco nerviosa de que esto no vaya a pasar.
Love you and thank you for everyone being here in the devotion.
Y gracias a todos por estar en esta devoción.
This is really powerful seeing. She's so willing to see that you can't take it sideways. You got to go for the full on, this is what he's saying is most helpful. That's because he knows what's most helpful.
Porque Jesús sabe qué es lo más útil y hubo mucha voluntad de tu parte de querer mirar eso.
And she's willing to see all of that. It's so precious. She's like lit
Y es
up.
muy precioso porque ella tiene esa voluntad de ver, de mirar.
This is how the light shines from within when we just are uncompromising.
Y eso es cuando la luz brilla, cuando no nos transigimos, cuando no transigimos.
Yeah, thank you, Lori.
Así que gracias, Lori.
Anyone else want to share their what
¿Alguien
Jesus
más quiere compartir?
Since we're over, I do.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Deb.
Moved into my condo on the 25th of March, and I've been open to a roommate, and one was just not, I didn't need to be, I don't know. It wasn't going to work. It wasn't in guidance. And so today, yesterday I went to a secondhand clothing store and it wasn't open, but its sign said it should. So today I was going to get stuff for the puppy. And on the way, I went back to that store, and at the counter is this girl who has studied Muji. She has a guru in Santa Fe, and on, just perfect alignment with where my spirit is and where you all have helped me to clear away the ego stuff. And so
just a moment.
I'm sorry.
I will do it.
Sorry,
No
Maria.
worries. No worries. Okay, ella está contando una historia de que ella ayer fue a una tienda de segunda mano, de ropa de segunda mano, y estaba cerrada. Sin embargo, ella hoy volvió y encontró una persona en el counter de servicio maravillosa que incluso sabía mucho de Muji.
So I felt compelled to go to the counter and ask what they were doing because she was looking for places, a teacher here that needed a place. And it all just was, this is what's supposed to happen. This is who your roommate's supposed to be. And it was like, it's just so amazing, so powerful. And, you know, being able to give somebody the options where my ego before the healings I've been having in this group would have been sabotaging, messing with things, just it's like such a huge blessing that I cannot believe it. When my son was little, he would get so happy he wanted to pinch his own buns. I feel like that. Sorry.
Y bueno, ok, entonces ella sigue contando la historia donde ella fue y encontró este ser maravilloso y dijo, esta persona sería la que es perfecta para ser como mi roommate, mi compañera de cuarto, algo así, o de apartamento, no sé. Y se siente supremamente bendecida porque en general ella se debatía muchísimo en muchas cosas y hoy todo fue totalmente fluido.
Yeah, so over time, as we're, you know, following Jesus, we'll get more and more clear on, with high specificity, on what he's calling us for.
Y cuando seguimos la guía, obtenemos de Jesús con más especificidad como cada paso a seguir.
And also on these decisions where we're more and more coming together with a brother to confirm, yeah, is that really what Jesus is saying?
Porque, y donde nos unimos con estos compañeros para que Jesús nos muestre lo que debemos ver.
So as you're going down your checklist, make sure you're checking in to go, okay, is this what's most helpful for healing the mind for me, Jesus? You're just checking in on those questions of the guidance worksheet.
Y entonces pregúntese con la relación de tareas si estas funciones fue lo más útil para la sanación de la mente, lo que hayamos hecho.
Is this accepting all the love the Father has for me?
Esto es aceptar todo el amor que el Padre tiene para mí.
So for each thing, you're just looking, you know, is this?
Por cada acción, ir haciendo esa pregunta.
Is this most helpful in your plan for the atonement?
Esto es lo más útil en el plan en tu plan para la expiación.
And it helps to train the mind so that more and more when something comes up into awareness, that, you know, it becomes an more automatic check-in.
Y entonces así cada cosa que vaya llegando se vuelve algo más automático, más rápido.
Like it's the only voice you hear in your ear.
Y entonces comienza a ser la única voz que tú escuchas en tu oído.
You may hear other voices, but they're just not of value, you know, you're so glued to him.
Y entonces comienzas a escuchar, puedes escuchar otras voces, pero realmente estás tan compenetrado con la voz de Jesús.
I could just remember, you know, I would just hold on. I could just picture myself, because there's a lot of these releases and they're not interpreted well by the ego. And I could just picture myself, I'm just going to hold on to Jesus's feet.
Y recuerdo que yo me ponía a los pies de Jesús porque algunas cosas que las quería interpretar.
And then the deeper I went into the mind with him, like the more it became like I knew he is the way out. There isn't another way for me.
Y entre más que trabajé con él, me di cuenta que no hay otra forma de salir de esto sino con él.
I would say to him, I just realized, oh my gosh, I have just miscreated such a big kerfuffle for myself. I need him nonstop. And
y cuando me di cuenta que había armado un gran alboroto en mi vida, me di cuenta que necesitaba su ayuda sin parar.
And just so much with the practice of the guidance of just constantly saying no to the ego and yes to whatever Jesus says.
Y constantemente decirle no al ego y decirle sí a lo que Jesús me decía.
So maybe we can hear from either Maria or Mary, if you would want to share your experience, what you learned from that guidance.
Bueno, no sé si María y Mary quieren compartir lo que aprendieron de esa guía en ese momento de la cena de Navidad.
Our little Merry Christmas session.
Maria, you go first.
No, you do it. No. Mary me dice que yo lo comience primero, pero le digo a ella que lo haga ella.
What I learned from this whole experience, what Jesus was showing me, was how very subtle and sneaky my ego is.
Lo que yo aprendí de esta experiencia es digamos, lo pegajoso, lo tramposo que es el ego.
So at our dinner table, Kay turns to me and says, all right, Mary, you stay with this group and you get them on a bus and you come back to the center.
Entonces, cuando estábamos en la mesa, Kay me dijo, mira, tú te vas a quedar con este grupo y terminan y luego toman el bus para irse al centro.
And there were like 6 of us, I think, or something like that. It was a small crowd.
Y bueno, era, can you say again, Mary?
There were 6 of us.
Éramos como 6 de nosotros.
And I did not know until after we got back to the center and started looking at this whole situation.
Y no me di cuenta hasta que volvimos al centro y miramos toda esta situación.
That I had already decided we were not taking the bus.
Que yo ya había tomado la decisión antes de esto de tomar un taxi.
So I kept blaming Maria.
Yo podría culpar a María.
It was Christmas Day and there were stalls and vendors all around this beautiful square.
Y entonces había, como era el día de Navidad, el 25, había estos vendedores alrededor de la plaza.
In other words, whatever the story, my ego wanted to go in that direction.
Pero bueno, más allá de todo esto, simplemente mi ego quería ir en esa dirección.
And we all just kind of, without acknowledging it and questioning what we were doing, we all just kind of wandered around, not following guidance.
Y simplemente lo que hicimos es como dejarnos llevar sin seguir ni preguntar la guía.
So each of us, but I was deciding to do what I wanted to do rather than follow guidance.
Y realmente lo que estaba haciendo era siguiendo lo que yo quería hacer en lugar de pedir la guía.
And I thought I was having fun.
Y yo creí que estábamos divirtiéndonos.
When we got back to the center, we started looking at all this.
Y cuando volvimos al centro comenzamos a ver todo lo que había alrededor de esto.
And when Kay says honesty of God, you kind of go, ugh.
Y bueno, y entonces cuando Kay dijo en la honestidad de Dios, entonces Mary quedó Así como, oh my God.
There's no, yeah, no squeaky room.
Así que no había como un cuarto para esconderse.
So we all saw it. We all saw it.
Todos estuvimos un poco tristes.
We wanted to do what we wanted to do. We didn't want to follow guidance.
Nosotros queríamos hacer lo que queríamos hacer y no seguir la guía.
And the fact that we were all seeing it together and all admitting it and being honest about it was very powerful.
Y verlo y estar decididos todos a verlo fue muy poderoso.
Okay, Maria, your turn.
Ok, el turno de María. What I can say was that the desire under this was the desire for two worlds. It was like, yeah, yuppie, we are free. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, was the feeling that I am free. I can do what I want. Yes, that feeling was amazing. But then was, oh my gosh, we were here in Jesus. So then we felt guilt. Yeah, that's all. Bueno, lo que pasó es que cuando estuvimos allá en la plaza nos sentimos totalmente libres y queríamos hacer todo lo que queríamos hacer. Y debajo de eso estaba el deseo de los dos mundos, como el tema espiritual y por el otro lado el mundo, como la verdad y la ilusión, ¿sí? Esos dos mundos.
And
Okay.
one other thing, I'm sorry, you done, Maria?
No, done. I'm done.
Okay.
Sí.
Well, what I'm hearing right now, let's see if I can grab it here, is that even when I think I know better,
Y lo que escucho es que incluso cuando creo que yo sé qué es lo mejor,
to become more discerning about what the ego is trying to do to undermine guidance.
Entonces hay como esta capacidad de mayor discernimiento y ver cómo el ego quiere estar fuera de guía.
And just say no.
Y realmente decir no.
Yeah, that has been like ongoing every day. That's a good thing to look at.
Y esa es una cosa muy útil de ver todos los días.
Yeah, it's good to see that connection because it's really quickly uncoupled, that connection between not following to keep guilt alive in the mind.
Y es muy útil ver cómo esta pareja de no seguir la guía es querer mantener la culpa.
And to be so unsparing about what you're hearing. It takes a lot of discernment, a lot of clearing the mind.
Requiere mucho discernimiento y mucha clarificación de la mente para seguir esa guía.
And the ego will make the most limiting thing. It'll just seem like the best deal ever. You just won the lottery and it's the straight ticket to hell.
Y el ego va a querer hacerte ver que ganaste la lotería y cuando realmente es un tiquete al infierno.
And had we not looked at it directly, and Kay said something, I don't remember what she said, but it was like, okay, let's look at this or something, you know.
Sí, entonces Kay nos dijo, sí, mira, que hay algo que tenemos que ver.
Had we not looked at it directly, all of us would have felt guilty. It would have been eating away at us.
Y si no hubiéramos mirado entre todos esa culpa, la culpa nos estaría comiendo.
But we were all willing to look at it and admit, yes, I'm responsible for the actions I took, the choice I made.
Y era hacernos responsables de las acciones que habíamos tomado.
And it didn't bring me happiness, and it may have been fun at the time, but it did not bring me happiness or peace of mind.
Y aunque me traía como diversión en el momento, realmente no me traía paz mental y felicidad, ni felicidad.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you
Gracias,
all for
María.
joining.
Gracias a todos por unirse.
Thank you all for joining these deep guidance sessions. We love you.
Los amamos. Gracias por unirse a estas sesiones.
Gracias, buenas noches.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank
Buenas
you.
noches.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Gracias. Feliz
Thank you.
noche.
Bye.